All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to totally deconstruct the New York street dog. We're not looking at it as just a mere snack, but honestly as a highly calibrated piece of culinary engineering. You know, most people walk right past a hot dog cart and just see a quick bite. But today, we're digging into the exact science, the strict physical requirements, and the rigid architectural rules that make this iconic street food function perfectly in literally one of the busiest environments on Earth.
I mean, just think about the contrast here for a second. While Chicago meticulously builds what is, let's be real, essentially a garden salad resting on top of a sausage, New York engineers a ruthless, high-efficiency delivery mechanism for protein and sodium. The Chicago dog is this whole event, but the New York dog? That's fuel. It's an exercise in extreme culinary minimalism, where every single element has to serve a very specific structural purpose. So, here is the blueprint for today's briefing. We're going to hit Protocol Alpha, the delivery mechanism, then Hydrothermodynamics, Protocol Beta, the condiment matrix, Protocol Gamma, the portability mandate, and finally, the griddled snap rebellion.
Let's kick things off with Protocol Alpha, the delivery mechanism.
This core mechanism is the absolute foundation of Manhattan's ubiquitous pushcart culture, tracing its roots all the way back to late 19th century Coney Island pioneers, guys like Charles Feltman and Nathan Honwerker. And the modern specifications, they demand incredibly strict tolerances. You absolutely cannot just use any random sausage. We are talking exclusively about an all-beef Frankfurter, and it's got to be encased in a natural sheep casing. The flavor profile, historically set by iconic brands like Sabret or Nathan's, is super dense, heavily spiced with garlic, and just packed with paprika. And to hold the whole thing together, you need a standard, unseeded white hot dog bun that is briefly warmed, but absolutely not heavily steamed like you'd find out in the Midwest. It really needs to hold its shape.
Moving right along to Section 2, Hydrothermodynamics. Okay, so entering the realm of fluid dynamics and the widely misunderstood genius of the pushcart technique, we really have to reframe that colloquial and, frankly, totally unfair term, dirty water. Because it's not dirty water at all. It's actually a legitimate, fortified simmering liquid. Think about it. As dozens of these heavily spiced sausages simmer away over several hours, that water bath actually absorbs their rendered fats, the salt, and the spices. By cooking the Frankfurter in this rich, seasoned liquid, the vendor guarantees maximum internal hydration and stops that delicate sheep casing from bursting wide open. And get this, the hydrothermodynamics require a hyper-precise holding temperature of exactly 160 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not a rolling boil, because that would completely obliterate the meat, and it's definitely not a tepid bath. 160 degrees is the absolute exact thermal sweet spot to maintain optimal sausage integrity, and of course food safety, over several hours out there on a busy street corner.
All right, Part 3, Protocol Beta, the condiment matrix.
This is where the strict chemistry really kicks in. This high-acid condiment matrix is a precise three-step application, designed specifically to cut right through the heavy lipids of that dense, garlicky beef we were just talking about. Step 1 is your primary adhesive, which is spicy brown mustard. Step 2, a layer of classic New York pushcart onion sauce. This is a highly specific, viscous, kind of rust-colored reduction of onions, tomato paste, vinegar, and cinnamon to give it that aromatic sweetness. And finally, Step 3 is a well-drained layer of sauerkraut that's there to deliver that crucial hit of lactic acid and a nice fermented crunch.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is that your primary adhesive must be spicy brown deli mustard. Brands like Golden's or Sabret are basically the gold standard. Why? Well, standard yellow mustard entirely lacks that required horseradish-like pungency that you need to balance the fat of an all-beef Frank. And Dijon? Honestly, on a New York street corner, pulling out Dijon is just culinarily inappropriate.
Which brings us to Section 4, Protocol Gamma, the portability mandate. This is where we get into the literal physics of the dog in motion. Because remember, this food is explicitly not designed to be eaten sitting down at a nice table. If you violate that sacred rule of 3, mustard, onion sauce, kraut, and you overtop the dog, you are seriously risking catastrophic structural failure. And this usually happens right in the middle of one-handed locomotive consumption on solid concrete. A New York dog is mathematically designed to be consumed rapidly while you are walking. If you add too much weight or liquid, that warmed, unseated bun is going to breach, and you're going to end up with an immediate, highly regrettable condiment spillage right all over your shoes.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the griddled snap rebellion. You know, every rigid system always has its outliers. Not everyone buys into the fortified simmering liquid theory. There are storefronts like Papaya King and Gray's Papaya that outright reject the water bath entirely. Instead, they mandate a flat-top griddle. Their culinary argument? They want to achieve a charred, blistering crust. They passionately argue that leaving a sausage sitting in water inherently degrades the mechanical snap of that natural casing. It's actually a fascinating divide, hydration versus tactile crunch, and it plays out literally every single day across the city.
Yet, despite all this intense dogma about the snap versus the simmer, the overall culture has this really surprising blind spot. While a place like Chicago exhibits militant, performative outrage if you even look at a bottle of ketchup, New York vendors, they will readily hand over the ketchup with total apathy. Why? Because the entire New York system prioritizes the speed of the transaction above absolutely everything else. They literally do not have the time to argue with you over culinary dogma when there's a line of 15 stressed commuters waiting on the sidewalk.
So it kind of leaves us with this final thought to ponder. When you grab a dog on the go, are you really tasting culinary perfection, or are you simply experiencing the ultimate edible efficiency? The New York street dog might just be the greatest testament to the fact that sometimes the best food isn't just about flavor, it's about how perfectly it fits the exact chaotic lifestyle of the people eating it. So think about that the next time you're navigating a crowded sidewalk, hot dog in hand. See you in the next explainer.